Was the acting U.S. attorney in the first Trump administration in Nashville, Tennessee. And that administration appointed me to a position running a war crimes tribunal for the State Department. So I have investigated cases focusing on the facts and the law throughout my career. We did this case the same way, under the same standards. And, you know, the thing that's, I think, important for your viewers to know is those standards are not meant to change from one administration to the next. And in my experience, until now, they haven't. And so, you know, I think we are facing an attack on the rule of law that is different in kind and scope to anything I've seen in my lifetime.
That is former Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, if you don't know, or you've been hiding under a rock for the last, many years. And he's talking about the truly dark times the rule of law is facing in this country. Hi, my name is Suri Crowe. Thanks for joining me. We have seen Donald Trump blow through constitutional law and norms with the ease and support of a supremely corrupt John Roberts Supreme Court, and obviously with the help of an all-Republican-controlled Congress. And with the now official confirmation of his toady, Todd Blanche, as the Attorney General, things are looking pretty damn bleak. I admit it, sometimes I feel hopeless. So many guardrails have been completely blown over. But recently, I sat down with Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones. He is the first Black Attorney General to be elected in the Commonwealth, and I left our conversation feeling at least a little bit better. Listen in.
In the era of Trump, and especially 2.0, the attorneys general have become a bulwark against a lot of the administration's, how shall I say?
We say overreach.
Overreach. What's your take on that?
Well, I think you couldn't be more right. In this moment, attorneys general are the sort of last line of defense to maintain the foundations of our republic. I say it a lot, and I think people, really do identify with this idea that democracy was built to bend and withstand a lot of challenges over the course of our 250 years here in this country. And over certain periods, we have bent deeply, but we've not broken. And right now, it's on us as attorneys general across the country to make sure that we don't break as a democracy. We're in a deep bend.
Deep bend indeed. Trump has set off revenge prosecutions and investigations against everyone from former FBI Director James Comey to New York prosecutor Letitia James. He has tasked Todd Blanche to go after his perceived enemies, and Todd Blanche, who is now openly blocking, defying the release of the Epstein files, which is now law for him to release those files under the Epstein Transparency Files Act, in which federal judges have called him out for doing so. And Blanche has as much as admitted that he doesn't work for the American people as much as he does for Donald Trump, which is the exact opposite of how U.S. attorneys general are supposed to operate.
This week, you said you and DOJ will, quote, uphold the law without fear or favor. You, of course, used to be President Trump's former personal defense attorney. Can you pledge that the Justice Department will always act independently of the White House?
Well, there's a big difference between saying we will always do our job and investigate any case and act independently of the White House. No, I'm not going to pledge that. And no attorney general should ever pledge that.
AG Jones also told me that the days of state attorneys general working quietly in the background is over, thanks to the Trump regime and his DOJ being derelict in their duties to defend the rule of law. Now state AGs are having to carry the load that federal prosecutors once did.
Democracy was built to bend and withstand a lot of challenges over the course of our 250 years here in this country. And over certain periods, we have bent deeply, but we've not broken. And right now, it's on us as attorneys general across the country to make sure that we don't break as a democracy. We're in a deep bend. We see that there's a lot of stuff coming from Washington that is really hurting people, right? Whether it be the tariffs, whether it be the withholding of funds for certain actions. You know, time and time again, states have been under siege from this administration. And so we're really focused on protecting our citizens, protecting our values, our ideals, and working to make sure that we can win back the House of Representatives this year and hopefully the Senate, so that there's another check on the president's power power because, frankly, we AGs are stretched thin and we need help because this is an onslaught every single day. I think there's this idea that AG offices are traditionally quiet, stoic, we're sort of underground. But right now, when you see these threats from the federal government because of Donald Trump, because of this administration, we are now in the limelight. We're at the forefront and we're on the front lines trying to make sure that we're protecting our rights, our citizens, our assets, our values, our ideals, our sister states, whether they be our regional partners like North Carolina and DC and Maryland, or folks from across the country like Chris in Arizona, Rob Bonta in California, Nick Brown in Washington, the list goes on and on.
Right. I was just about to mention Rob Bonta has been at the forefront, as well as another office that I've been keeping in touch with is Keith Ellison.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, and not only him, but also Mary Moriarty, the Hennepin County prosecutor's office there. This is where we're really seeing the state and local prosecutors stepping up and again becoming the bulwark against the overreach, as you said, of the federal government. And I don't know. Do you think that it is making a difference? Is it a prevention, a firewall against the government's overreach?
I certainly believe the answer is yes. The Democratic KGs over the last couple of years since Trump came back have sued the administration dozens and dozens and dozens of times. We joined many of those lawsuits when we took over in January.
And unlike Todd Blanche, AG Jones says he and his fellow Democratic attorneys general are not behaving in a partisan way, but they are taking action on behalf of the citizens they were sworn to protect.
The Democratic KGs over the last couple of years since Trump came back have sued the administration dozens and dozens and dozens of times. We joined many of those lawsuits when we took over in January. And it's not because we're anti-Trump. We are anti-policies that are going to hurt our states. And that, I think, is a fundamental thing that isn't a partisan stance. I think
about how the Democratic attorneys generals have stepped up and I think have filed like a record number of suits against the administration. Yeah. And yet your Republican counterparts have been very mousy quiet. And the take was that I think there were some statements that they're afraid. And what do you think of that?
That was a big criticism that I had of my predecessors, that he was too weak and too scared to take on the president because then he might get a Truth Social post saying that he has been disloyal. But really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. Your loyalty and your obligation runs to your state and to the people who you represent, not to the president. And I will be the first person to tell you, if this administration is doing something that's going to be in the best interest of Virginia, we're ready to work and we're ready to partner with them. We just haven't seen that over these last 5 months. It seems like there's just this constant assault and barrage of policies that are putting Virginians on the back foot.
Since Trump took office, there has been a concerted effort to gut white-collar criminal departments at the DOJ, first under Pam Bondi and now under Todd Blanche, who many thought was directing much of the gutting and carving out to begin with. The Civil Rights Division, the Public Integrity Division, the Watchdog Divisions. Never been a better time to be a white-collar criminal. And the DOJ has dropped thousands of criminal cases against defendants who are Trump supporters. Surprise, surprise. All of this has resulted in mass firings and exodus from DOJ.
This number absolutely blew my doors, Jay, is that 10,000 lawyers have left the Department of Justice under the Trump administration, either through being fired or they left because of all the corruption. And now these lawyers have gone into the public sector. Trump actually tweeted, and this is via the New York Times, that they're reporting, Trump said this is very good. The DOJ has just been hollowed out. Yeah. But my question is, would you consider hiring some of these former federal prosecutors and bringing them into the AG office in Virginia? Or?
Consider? We already have.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, we have people and our senior staff who are, I call them DOJ exiles, because they were really happy doing the work that they were doing on behalf of the federal government, and then were forced out by circumstances beyond their control. So we, in January and over the course of our transition in November and December, had the opportunity to bring in really talented people. I was really sort of heartened by one of our employees in our office who has been there since Jerry Beliles was AG back in the 80s. And it's a testament to the fact that she's been through turnover, both Democratic and Republican, but she believes in the mission of our office. And so when you try to change it and weaponize it and politicize it in the way that the president has done at the federal level, you see the ill effects. I think other states have been able to harness that as well. And it's certainly something that I think will help us as we continue to be adverse to the federal government, because these policies continue to proliferate and we need all the help that we can get.
Okay, so that's a call out to the talent pool of former.
Please, we've got openings in the Office of the Attorney General. Okay. It's a wonderful place to work. We are doing, I think, cutting edge legal work, fighting these fights against the administration, but also delivering for Virginians. And I think it's a really special time to be in public service.
And then there are the midterms. Many people are convinced that Trump will do everything he can to intimidate and suppress voter turnout, as the latest polls are showing a blue wave is surely coming and Trump is panicking.
What are you as Attorney General doing to prepare for what appears to be a tumultuous midterm election season?
Well, let me first say that Virginia, we have safe and secure and fair elections. We've never had any instances of voter fraud or things that would give people trepidation. But we work really hard to make sure that our processes are administered fairly and done the right way. We work with our local registrars and our electoral officials to do that all across Virginia. And I have the utmost gratitude to those people who sacrifice their time to make this work. But we work really hard as an office, including with our voter protection unit, to engage with our localities and to engage with law enforcement to make sure that nothing is going to go awry. We're always prepared. In Virginia, we vote every 6 months, every June, every November, sometimes in April, sometimes in August, and things have gone off without a hitch. So I'm confident in our ability to make sure that Virginia's elections will not be interfered with. And
people on the left who say that the 2024 election was stolen.
Well, in Virginia, we have never had any issues of, underhanded activity or nefariousness. I can't speak to other states, right? I've lived in Virginia my whole life,
okay.
But here, right, we have secure elections. We use paper ballots. We were doing that way before it was cool. We have, an opportunity to continue to demonstrate how elections should be run and they should be administered. But we work really closely again with our election officials at the state and local level to make sure that they're prepared, they have the resources necessary to do what they've got to do, and that we're there to provide legal guidance in the event something does pop up.
If Trump sends down the ICE goons or anything like that for voter intimidation, which, there's a likelihood that he could do. Is there anything that you and the governor or anything are working together to prevent, people from being suppressed or afraid to go to the polls?
Well, as attorneys, our function is really to be risk managers. And so we work hard to make sure that we are ready for any potential outcome. But, I will tell people that Donald Trump has been rejected here on the ballot 3 times in 2016, 2020, and 24. And so don't mess with Virginia, because we've rejected you soundly time and time again. And so, I and the other AGs are ready to be able to protect our states and our interests and our voting processes. I'm the descendant of slaves, people who were denied the right to vote just because of the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. Democracy is deeply important to me. And so as Attorney General, the first Black Attorney General, I take that role very seriously to protect our elections and protect people's right to vote.
Lastly, AG Jones believes there will be Trump supporters who have been so adversely impacted by this administration's horrible policies that they may even vote against him this time, or at least stay out.
I think this is one of those years where there is a lot of Democratic energy and enthusiasm because the policies that are coming out of Washington are having real impacts on people. And I think there are folks in this Commonwealth and across the country who may have voted for the president, but they feel very disillusioned and disheartened by what they've seen over these last couple of years, and they are fed up too.
So that was my conversation with Attorney General Jay Jones, Democratic top legal eagle in Virginia. And speaking with him did give me a glimmer that all hope is not lost for us. But as we have sadly and tragically learned with Trump getting into the Oval Office, not once, but twice, we will only have a chance of rectifying the insane amount of damage this man and his cronies have caused if massive, massive amounts of people turn out to vote. It must be too big to rig. Just look at some of the victories that are happening. I mean, total upsets, progressive candidates winning their primaries. We can keep this going, y'all. So turn out to vote. Check your registration. Make sure that you are still registered to vote. Even if you were registered last time, double check, make sure you know where you're going to poll, sign up to be a poll worker. And if you're in a state with a Democratic attorney general, you're probably in some very good hands. By the way, they handle all kinds of investigations from fraud and abuse to criminal cases. So become familiar with your attorney general's office and what they can do for you, become familiar with your state elected officials. They are the bulwark between us and a corrupt federal regime. It's really important. This is why who we put into not only federal offices, but into our state elected seats is so critically important. As the saying goes, or maybe you haven't heard it, the further down ballot, the closer to your front door. So get to know who your attorney general is. And I want to thank Attorney General Jay Jones and his office for the opportunity to sit with him. Let me know what your thoughts are below about the upcoming midterm elections and whether or not you've gotten in touch with your state elected officials. And make sure to follow me on my socials below. I'll see you on my socials and I'll see you back here soon. Peace out.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.